And now it's time for the star of the show, Outlander. Yes. So, really quick, this is one of my most prized possessions because it is autographed by the one and only Diana Gabaldon. She autographed it for me at a convention a few years ago, and oh, yes. She was such a nice lady, too. She was so patient and just overall an extraordinary person. So I'm pretty positive this is a first edition. I'm not sure. I'd have to have an expert look at it. But when I found this at a used bookstore of all places, I'm like, this is too freaking nice. But looking at it, it's like, I'm pretty sure it is a first edition that was probably never used, and I was just the lucky patron that got it. So, because it is prized, I'm not going to be reading this copy. I'm going to be reading this copy. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this cover. So, but as you can see, this book is chunky. It's over 600 pages. And for those of you who have not read these books, they get chunkier with each installment. So if you are planning on checking out these books, be prepared for a read. But they're good reads. From what I haven't read all the books, so keep that in mind. But they're good reads. And I'm highly excited to dive back in. I guess you can call this preseason. You know how there's always a preseason of football, and all the football fans get really excited. This is preseason for Outlander because the final season is coming next year, and I know all my fellow Outlander fans are mega excited to see how they end the series. And not to mention, she's working on the last book. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this is still an ongoing series within the literary world. And she is working on the final book. And not only that, she's working on a story revolving around Jamie's parents that's sort of what Blood of My Blood is, from what I understand. She didn't write it. She's consulting on it, but she didn't write it. But from what I understand, what she's writing and what Stars is producing are two separate entities. If they coincide, then I'm not sure if that's going to be a coincidence, but that's my understanding. So, and also she's working on a couple of other things. So even though the final book isn't out yet, it's supposed to be out, I can't say soon, because Diana Gabaldon is a perfectionist. It's a mix of historical and fantasy fiction. But she is a stickler for facts when it comes to the history parts. So she does a lot of research before putting pen to paper. So it does take her a long time to finish a book. So I can't say soon when it comes to the final installment, but it will be out, and that's all we can hope for. So yay. Anyway, going to dive into this. And just really quick, for those of you who have not heard or read Outlander, the Scottish Highlands, 1945. Claire Randall, a former British combat nurse, is just back from the war and reunited with her husband on a second honeymoon when she walks through a standing stone in one of the ancient circles that dot the British Isles. Suddenly, she is a Sassenach. You'll get used to that term. An Outlander. In a Scotland torn by war and raiding clans in the year of our Lord, 1743. Claire is catapulted into the intrigues of a world that threatens her life and may shatter her heart. Marooned amid danger, passion, and violence, her only chance of safety lies in Jamie Fraser, a gallant young Scots warrior. What begins in compulsion becomes urgent need, and Claire finds herself torn between two different men and two irreconcilable lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I've read this book, but I'm excited to read it again. So I'm gonna go dive in, and I'll let you know how it goes. Oh, and just quick. For those of you who happen to be Doctor Who fans, guess what inspired Outlander? So if you're a Whovian, check out the companion named Jamie McTavish. At least I think his name was Jamie. I know the last name was McTavish. Either way, if you're a Whovian, you will like Outlander, because guess what inspired it? Okay, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to go read Outlander, and I'll see you guys hopefully soon. So, first part of Outlander. Not too long, just basically goes over the meeting of the two main characters, which is Jamie Fraser and Claire, and you also meet Frank, which is Claire's husband. So, going into spoiler territory here, in case you haven't seen the show or read the books, Claire is a wife and a former army nurse who's on her second honeymoon with her husband Frank in Scotland. And while there, she basically falls through time travel, where she meets Highlanders who save her life from evil British soldiers. And I'm talking the epitome of the worst type of Brits soldiers, the ones that they briefly mention in history class, but a little bit worse. We also meet Captain Jack Randall. Yeah, that douchebag. If you know, you know. But anyway, first part read. It took me a couple days to read it because, work gets in the way. I'm working on other stuff, but I'm trying to read at least an hour out of the day. But anyway, first part done, and chapter 3 and 4, I had a hard time stopping. It's like, whoa, I forgot that this happened, and this is how they met, and it was like, I don't want to stop. It was so good. A couple notes I made. I really loved the interaction between Jamie and Claire. I think that's what everyone loves most, of course, because they're the two central characters. But I especially loved the empathy they had for each other. I mean, Claire had empathy for Jamie for what he had gone through. He had been savagely flogged by Captain Randall a few years prior, just for protecting his home. That's literally the reason. He was protecting his home, he was protecting his sister, and as a result, his back was torn apart. And she empathized with him. And Jamie empathized with Claire, recognizing that she was alone. Does he know that she time traveled? No. But he recognizes that she's alone. He sees her wedding ring, and he feels that, where's her husband? Is she widowed? And she has to admit to herself that she kinda is. She's in a time where her husband isn't around, so in a way she is a widow. So I really loved their dynamic. I loved that interaction. So, first part done. I'm going to go on to the second part and several other parts. She writes these books in parts. And some parts are long, some parts are short. So we'll see how long it takes me to get through the rest. Like I said, these books are chunky. See, chunky. That's only the first part. But it's definitely worth it. So, I am on chapter 14. A marriage takes place. Small spoiler, this is the chapter where Jamie and Claire get married. And I completely forgot, and I didn't do this in the TV show, that Claire and Jamie get married in the same spot where Claire and Frank get married. I don't know why they didn't do that on a TV show. I think it would have been a lot more emotional if they had, but yeah, TV, they do their own shit. Anyway, I find that reading it this time around, I've read Outlander like 2-3 times, and somehow I find reading it this time around more invigorating. I'm having a hard time putting this book down, and like I said, it's a beast, 600 pages plus. I am taking my time, but I am finding this time around so much more enjoyable. I think maybe because I haven't rewatched the series in a long time, so not everything I've seen on screen is coming to my head as I'm reading it, so I can't compare. It's like, oh, that's when that happens, It's not coming to me this time, so I think taking a long break from watching the series has really helped in reading the series. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it this time around. So 192 pages in, I'm in the middle of the chapter where they're getting married. He just told her his full name, and she's coming to terms with the fact that she's marrying a virgin. So, quick little interruption. Blood of my blood. Wow. Yes. Story of Jamie's parents and Claire's parents. We got a little insight, spoiler if you've already seen or read Outlander, but we get a little insight on how Jamie's parents came to be. It was a forbidden love story, and this goes more into that. But seeing Claire's parents, it really got me. I loved Claire's parents. My God, I love them so much. And for me, the aspect of how they met, spoiler again, they met through letters. And he's a combat soldier in World War I, and obviously works for the military, going through their letters. Looks like they're blacking out shit that the families aren't supposed to see. But anyway, that's how they meet. She finds his letter, and she decides to write back to him, and their love begins, and it's like, ah. And then the first time they meet, they just know. They just have this aura about them. Their souls recognize each other. And it's so, so beautiful. And then now they get separated. Sucks. And yet they're still so devoted to each other. It's like, I'm only 2 episodes in, so we'll see how the rest of the series go, but I have a feeling I'm going to be loving Claire's parents, Julia and Henry, a little more than Jamie's parents, which is Brian and Ellen. I will say, though, you see a lot of Jamie and Claire's traits from their parents. You see a lot of Claire's tenacity in her mother, and you see a lot of Jamie's honor in his father. But you also see a lot of bravery in his mother. Oof, love it. So I'm really, really excited to see where the series is going to go. I think the first season is 10 episodes. We'll see. Regardless, it's going to be good. And I already heard it's been renewed for a 2nd season, so oh yay. Can't wait to see where this goes. I'm so excited for it. I didn't think I'd be this excited for it. It's like when I first started watching Outlander all over again. Yay! The only sucky part about it is that you know what happens to Jamie's parents, but you don't know what happens to Claire's parents. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens to Julia and Henry. And we'll see how Brian and Ellen end up together. Yeah. I must say, the whole love at first sight thing that they did in Brian and Ellen's love story, pretty much spot on as to how love at first sight should be done. Back to the book log. So I'm on chapter 24, and I'm on page 346, and another scene I completely just phased over, mainly because it was kind of glossed over in the series, at least from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've watched the series, like I mentioned before. But in this chapter, they talk about Jamie's parents and how they got together, how they eloped, and it's big spoiler territory for Blood of My Blood. Chapter 25, page 401. We are getting to my absolute favorite part. And if you haven't got an idea yet, if you're into this video this far, major fucking spoiler. But just really quick, I just have to say, in case you don't already know, I hate Leary. She's a cunt. I don't care that she's young. I don't care that she's naive. I don't care that thinks she's in love. She's a cunt. I don't like her. Yeah. Felt good to get that off my chest. Anyway. Page 401. We are just at the part where Claire basically vomits everything that's happened to her since stepping through the stones to Jamie, about who she really is, about what time she's really from, everything. I love this part in the series, and I loved it even more in this book. I swear, if Jack Randall were a real person of history, then the worst terrorist in the world would have revered him as a saint and probably given him his own song. And you, my Sassenach, what were you born for? To be lady of a manor, or to sleep in the fields like a gypsy? To be a healer, or a don's wife, or an outlaw's lady? I was born for you, I said simply, and held out my arms to him. You know, he observed, letting go at last, you've never said it. Neither have you. I have. The day after we came, I said I wanted you more than anything. And I said that loving and wanting weren't necessarily the same thing, I countered. He laughed. Perhaps you're right, Sassenach. He smoothed the hair from my face and kissed my brow. I wanted ye from the first I saw ye. But I loved ye when you wept in my arms and let me comfort you the first time at Leoch. The sun sank down the line of black pines, and the first stars of the evening came out. It was mid-November, and the evening air was cold, though the days still kept fine. Stand on the opposite side of the fence. Jamie bent his head, putting his forehead against mine. You first. No, you. Why? I'm afraid. Of what, my Sassenach? The darkness was rolling in over the fields, feeling the land and rising up to meet the night. The light of the new crescent moon marked the ridges of brow and nose, crossing his face with light. I'm afraid if I start, I shall never stop. He cast a glance in the horizon where the sickle moon hung low and rising. It's nearly winter, and the nights are long, Mundoon. He leaned across the fence, reaching, and I stepped into his arms. feeling the heat of his body and the beat of his heart. I love you. And if that isn't a love scene, and I'm talking about the naughty stuff us girls love to read. I'm talking about pure, unadulterated, once in a lifetime, my soul is yearning. What the fuck was I thinking when I didn't choose you first kind of love? Then I don't know what is. And I have made it through Outlander. 627 pages. And not gonna lie, it took me a while. Probably got to have read a lot sooner than what I did. It took me roughly 4 weeks to get this book done. But I do have a life. I have a full-time job, and I'm a mom and a wife. I take care of a home. I have appointments, all kinds of shit. So I read when I can. I try to read at least 1 hour a day. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but at least try to get something in each day. And yeah, it took me about 4 weeks to finish this baby, and solid 9.5. I would have given it a 10, but the last couple chapters dragged. So because of that dragging, I get a 9.5. But it was so good. Definitely on par with season 1 of the series. I'm not going to say it's better because it's not. It's on par. The creators behind Outlander, the series, did such a good job that it's hard. Very hard to say it's better than the books. It's not. They are so close in being even with each other. Now, the book, of course, offers more insight, more characters that we don't see in the series, and a lot more story. So if they were to do that on screen, instead of being roughly the dozen episodes that it is each season, it would be like a lot more. Regardless, it was a good read. It was hard for me to put down. When I first read it, I'd read it fresh off watching season 1, and I did have a rough time then. I think because this show was so fresh in my mind that I kept comparing it. And I think this time around that I'm reading it, it's like the third or fourth time I read this book. I haven't watched Outlander in a long time, probably a year or longer. And I think that was good because now I feel like I'm in there with a fresh mind. I still recognize where these scenes are, but they're not as vivid as they were before. So I'm able to put in my own imagination, and I'm able to pay attention more to the parts that aren't a part of this TV show. So overall, taking a long break helped in my reading process. So I definitely enjoyed this book. It was a great book. By far the best scenes are with Claire and Jamie. Anytime they get their witty banter going, anytime they share emotions with each other, anytime they're just in a room together, it's like they're right in front of you, leaping off the page, showing you their story. It's amazing. And I do love other characters well. Murtaugh, oh yeah, he's an awesome dude. And of course, Jenny, she's a bad bitch. You don't want to mess with her. And Ian, like I said in my previous video, everyone needs an Ian. I mean, the man, spoiler, he has one leg. And he doesn't let that stop him from being a good person and from taking care of what's his. And for those that deserve a nice little spot in Satan's hole, definitely Jonathan Randall. Yeah, he's that bad. Oh, but yeah, I can't say it enough. Good book. solid book, long book. If you're a fast reader, you'll get through it pretty quickly. If you are a read when you can reader, it's going to take you some time, like it did me. It took me a month. I didn't expect it to take me a month. I thought I would have done with it sooner, but like I said, I do have a life. I do have to make a living. So it took me a month, and that's okay. I mean, I got to enjoy it. It was a great read. There were moments where I didn't want to stop reading, and there were moments where I was like, okay, can we go on? Yeah, I'm rambling now. But anyway, next is Dragonfly and Amber. If you've seen Outlander, read the books. If you haven't seen Outlander, still go read the books, because it's an amazing series that will not disappoint, especially if you love time traveling, and especially if you love romance and drama and suspense. Keep in mind, the show and the books do come with their batch of trigger warnings, so keep your mental health in check, especially when you get to Wentworth. If you know, you know. I'm not going to say it out loud here because it's not good. But just the strength that Jamie has tells you that his love is pure and genuine for Claire, because he does it all for her. All right. I will see you guys soon, and we'll be going over Dragonfly and Amber. Bye.